you ever been to a greatness factory before? So I want to tell you just a little bit about me because we're going to be with each other for about an hour here. I spent about 12 years of my life as a high school girls basketball coach. And so I was coaching 14 to 18-year-olds, and we were doing a lot of special things with those young adults, and we were operating at very, very high levels. And so people were constantly asking me, like, what are you doing with those, they used to say kids, right? Like, what are you doing with those kids? Because they're well-mannered, and they're confident, and they're doing big things in the world. And I used to say, well, we've got our own little greatness factory. And we're teaching things that maybe they don't get in school every day. Does that make sense? Because there's going to be a lot of things that we need to learn. And many of you, I work with your parents. And I'll say, well, why didn't we get that in school, right? Like, for example, why didn't we get how to be confident? Why didn't we have any classes in how to bounce back from adversity when we get knocked down? Why didn't we have any classes in how to find our talents? Why didn't we have any classes in how to just keep fighting through when we feel like we fail? Why didn't we have any classes in how to just keep getting back up over and over again? Why didn't we have any classes in what happens when we feel like we got rejected in the world? You know, why are there not any classes in school on these important things? Would you guys agree that those are all important things?
Yes.
Yeah. And so these things are going to go a long way with you because for some reason, and even I went to college for 9 years to get 3 degrees, and I didn't have any classes in any of these things. I didn't have one class in how to find my talent, how to figure out how to find the work I was supposed to do. And you say, well, why is that a problem? 67% of people in the United States today say they don't enjoy their jobs. They don't enjoy the work they're doing. So what if you could find your talent early in life and then spend a lot of your life doing it? And here's the cool part, even get paid to do it, right? But we don't really teach these things in school. And so what happened was we began to win so many games, and in those days as a basketball coach, that's why you see this big gaudy ring on my right finger, is I spent a decade kind of teaching people how to win in life, right? And here was my philosophy for the parents. If I could teach the kid how to be a great kid, if I could really teach them what they needed to be successful, the more this would work. So my philosophy was to take sports and teach life. All sports was just a vehicle for me to teach how to be successful in life. Does that make sense? And that's what I really, really enjoyed, is how do I teach these kids how to be ultra successful in their lives? And the more successful we were, just happened to be that the more games we won. And so then I began to write books about this. And here's one thing I want to encourage you. Every person in this room at some point ought to write their own book in life. And it doesn't matter if one person reads it or a million people read it, right? It's just a process of accomplishing something, of pushing something. And you know what? After I wrote about 8 or 9 books, I went back and spoke to all my high school teachers that I had in high school. And they couldn't believe that I wrote books. They were like, you? Out of all the students we had in English class, you were the one to write all the books? They just couldn't believe it, right? And so here's one thing I want to tell the parents tonight is I don't look at kids for where they are today or children as where they are today. I look at them for where they could be in the future. And I'm always affirming and validating where they could be in the future, not where they are today. Does that make sense? Because they may not be where they need to be today, but they can get there. And I can't tell you how many moms, how many young adults that came to me and people tried to get me not to take them on my basketball team. And they would say, well, they're going to end up in trouble or in jail or they're not a good kid and you don't need to take them on your basketball team, Coach Burt. And I would say, no, the only thing they've been missing is a good coach. The only thing they've been missing is a good mentor in their life. And if they had a good mentor, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, she's at gymnastics right now, so she gets daddy coaching her all the time, right? But sometimes even my daughter don't listen to me. It takes somebody else. And here's what's so funny. I'll take my daughter to school, and she'll be in the back hanging off the rails and acting crazy. And we roll up to that school, and she sees Miss Weaver, and you know what she does? Hello, Miss Weaver. Good morning. Good to see you. And I'm like, whose kid is that in the background? Because that can't be my kid. Does that make sense? I'm sitting there saying, hey, be a good girl. You know, be nice, smile, show up, be ready to go. And sometimes when you hear it from your parents, you don't listen. But you hear from somebody else, and it's like, oh, my dad's been saying that for 10 years. You know, companies that bring me in today I was coaching real estate companies, and here's what they say to me. I've been telling these people the same thing for 5 years, but when you said it, all of a sudden they listen for some reason, right? And so tonight I got to teach you some things that'll help you be successful because a lot of times those people that people didn't think were going to work out, they just hadn't had the best coaching in the world. Does that make sense? So does it matter who's coaching you and teaching you every day? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you think it can give you a tremendous advantage? Yes or no?
Yes.
So the worst thing in the world was this. On down the road, what if you didn't have the best coaches or teachers? What if, because the worst thing I had to do as a coach at Riverdale is players that would come to me and want to play, but they weren't ready to play. And you know why? Because of who had been coaching them. And the mom and dad would say to me, but my daughter's been playing since she was 4 years old, and then she played when she was in elementary school, and then she played when she was in middle school, and why is she not ready to play here at this big time place? And I said, because of who's been coaching her. It wasn't the kid's fault. Does that make sense? So sometimes when we turn our kids over to people and we say, hey, you know, they're there, they're getting learn. Well, what if they don't get it? What if they don't learn what they need to do? Whose job is that? And as a teacher, I would hear, you know, teachers blame parents. Well, if parents did a better job raising their kids, we'd have a better society. Parents would say if teachers would do a better job teaching, we'd have a better society. Here's what I'd say. We all need to do a better job, right? Parents can do better and teachers can do better, okay? So tonight I'm going to show you some things because here's some things that I feel like are very big things that you need to have to really be successful in the world. Look at that first thing up there. Somebody give me a good definition of confidence. Yes?
Having the ability to believe in yourself.
What about if nobody else believes in you? Is it still confidence?
Yes.
Yes. What if having the ability to believe in yourself even when nobody believes in you? Do you know some of the dreams that I've had in my lifetime? The first thing other people did was make fun of those dreams. Even some of my closest friends made fun of those dreams. I'm going to be a championship coach. I'm going to write best-selling books. I'm going to have my own TV show. You know what they'd say? Oh, come on. You're not going to do all those things, right? Sometimes the people closest to you are the people who don't believe in you. So confidence is the ability to go do something even when a lot of people line up and tell you that you can't do it. And a lot of people don't believe you can do it. Well, where do we get that from? Where do we get confidence from? Because how many people can say at some point in their life they lost their confidence? I know I have, right? You got to be honest. At some point, we've all lost our confidence. Here's what I notice, and we're going to break this down to a science. Confidence is when you have the ability to take action and move forward on something even when other people don't believe you can. It is an internal knowing you can create or manifest something. Okay? But I wrote down when I was a coach this one thing. The people that I coached that had confidence would try anything. They would try, even if they failed. The people that did not have confidence wouldn't even try. Everybody with me? Now, how does this affect you later in life? You don't go for opportunity. You don't talk to new people. You don't put yourself in positions where you can fail. You just don't even try when you don't have confidence. Well, that's a class that's never taught in school, right? Confidence affects all 7 billion people on the planet. The people that have it typically go on to do big things. The people that don't have it always contract. What I mean by contract is they always kind of keep to themselves, right? And what if I told you when I went to college at 18 years old, I grew up in a very small town, and when I went to college, I had absolutely no confidence at all. I was actually shy. I know that's hard for you to believe, but I sat in the back of the class. I wore a hat, and I put my hat down over my eyes, and I did not talk to one person. I didn't talk to other friends. I didn't talk to girls. I didn't join any fraternities. I almost said I didn't join any sororities, but that wouldn't be right? I didn't do anything. Now, you know why? Because when I grew up in a small town, I was not exposed to a lot of things. And what I mean by that is I never went on an airplane. I vacationed at the same place every single year. I never got around people that were different than me. So when I went to college, I was just like this. I was just scared to death because I was going to college with 23,000 other people. And I didn't even know what to do. I was like, just don't talk to me. And I literally sat in the back row and didn't say a word. Now, how did that affect me? Well, it affected me a lot. I didn't get to experience a lot of things in college. I didn't join anything. I didn't begin clubs. I didn't meet people because I didn't have confidence. I just wouldn't do that. Well, that was a big problem for me, so it took me a while to grow out of that. I remember having speech classes where I didn't want to get up and speak in front of people. It's so odd that now I speak to thousands of people a week. You know, I didn't even want to talk in front of the group. So why was that? Well, growing up, I didn't get exposed to all these things. So one thing is confidence. How many people think if we helped you with your confidence tonight, that'd be a big win? If we just helped you get big confidence, wouldn't it? Right? And this is a thing like with adults. They don't want to admit that they don't have confidence. Like I coach confidence every single day with adults, and it's almost like they see it as a sign of weakness. Like I'm weak because I don't have confidence. You're not weak. It's human nature to lose this. Okay, that's one thing I'm going to show you. What about number 2? How to handle perceived rejection. Perceived rejection is you want to be friends with another person and they don't want to be friends back with you. And I watch my daughter because I have an only child, and she's very social. I don't know where she gets it from, but she talks to everybody. And sometimes the other kids, she goes out and wants to play with other kids, and they may not want to play back with her. And I watch how that affects her. And she's like, well, what's wrong? Is something wrong with me that you don't want to? And she can't figure out yet at 4 years old, like, why don't you want to play with me? Does that make sense? Well, what if I could teach her that not every kid's going to want to play with you? And that's okay. So my philosophy is some will, some won't, so what? What if she learned that at 4 years old, right? So I say today there's no such thing as rejection. Some people are going to be interested in what you have. Some people are not going to be interested in it. Who cares, right? So I just take rejection off the table, and I say there's no such thing as rejection. And if I could teach her that very early, you can't imagine how that would help her later in life. You can't imagine how good that would be, because even today when I go out and try to share my message with the world, or when people write bad things about me on the internet, or they put a down sign on my Facebook, I'm like, man, what's wrong with them? Do they not like me? Now at 40 years old, I'm just saying, you know what? It's okay. They're not all going to like you. But that's not going to stop me from sharing my message. Everybody with me here? It's not going to stop me from pursuing it. What about this one? How to bounce back. What I mean by bounce back, it's called resilience. How do I get up when things don't go my way? Because if you have low resilience, it's actually called emotional quotient. If you got low resilience, when you don't get your way, what you do is you just pout, whine, mope, stay down, blame other people, project. See, big-time people, when they get knocked down, they get right back up. And they do get knocked down. They just don't stay down. You follow me here? And so when my players made mistakes as a coach, I would say, it's over. Don't focus on it. It's in the past, right? Because sometimes they would make a mistake, and they would just, hey, you know, I call it knees and elbows. The knees go down and the elbows go down. You ever see that, Mom and Dad? They just knees and elbows. It's like, oh God, the world's, right? I'd be like, get your knees up and get your elbows up. It ain't over, right? Get back up and keep fighting. Well, how do we instill that in a kid? How do we instill that in a kid that, hey, the people that win the most are not the most talented sometimes? Do you believe that? Sometimes it's the kids that just keep getting back up even when they fail. And if I can put that in you, that there are going to be people who are more talented than you, okay, that are better than you, that are smarter than you, that come from different backgrounds than you. And they're going to beat you sometimes. Does that make sense? They're going to win in anything. Grades, they're going to win in sports. And you got to just, it's okay, because you're not comparing yourself to them. You're only comparing yourself to your own potential. Everybody with me here? Okay? What about this one? How to work with other people. How many people believe we become a sum average of the 5 people we hang around most? Now, Mama used to teach me this one. I don't know if they still use this one. When you lay down with dogs, you're bound to get what, Shannon? Fleas. When you lay down with dogs, you're bound to get fleas. You know what I noticed about kids when I was coaching girls from 14 to 18? Is that they always either played up or played down depending on who they associated with. If they hung around other young ladies who had bad language, they had bad language. But I had one player on my team. I wish she could watch this tonight, named Carrie Overman. And she was a shining light to all the other kids. And you know what I noticed when all the other kids were around her? They were always on their best behavior because they didn't want to let her down. Then they would be around somebody else and their behavior would go down. I do believe you become a sum average of the 5 people you hang around most. So I bet right now you're hanging around some people that don't give you energy. They take energy from you. Right? I bet you're hanging around some people that when you're around them, some people you're really good when you're around them, and some people bring you down when you're around them. Is that fair to say? So here's what you're going to learn as you get older. I really believe, just remember this, we become the sum average of the 5 people we hang around most. And when you hang around people that got positive energy, you're going to have more energy. When you hang around people that have low energy, you're going to have low energy. When you hang around people that take negative action, you're going to take negative action. And that will go with you no matter how old you are, okay? All right, what about this one? How to find your talents. We talked about that. And then how to sell yourself to other people. At some point in the world, in some point, you're going to go get a job, get a career, get in front of a person, have an opportunity, and you're going to have to make a positive impression on those people. Is that fair to say? Remember this stat, and I want you to write this down because it's very critical. If you make a bad first impression, it takes 21 positive interactions to overcome the first negative one. 21 positive interactions to overcome the first negative one. Right? Now, how many of you have made a bad first impression before? How do we make a bad first impression? There you go. I got a pen for you right here. How do you make a bad first impression?
You stutter.
Okay, all right, she says it's right. Okay, that's good.
You completely forget what you were going to say.
There you go. You completely forget what you're going to say. How would you tell me to make a good first impression? What did I do the first thing I met every one of you guys? Yes. See, right. Where'd my eyes look? See, first impression is very critical. Right? And here's what I see a lot of people do. I walk around this building, office building, with grown adults that keep their head down like this. Here's how they walk around the office. I get on that elevator, people, and I say, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. How's your day going? Right? Here's what they are. Hello. Knees and elbows. Hey, how's it going? Miserable. How's your day? First step to win, here's what I tell people. Get your head up, make eye contact, right? And walk and bring some energy. That's the first step. What class, did they teach you that in school, by the way? Okay. You know, my daughter goes to a Montessori school that Maria Montessori created. And they're doing yoga, meditation. She's 4 years old. But I also want to know this. Are they going to teach her how to make a great first impression? But you know what? When we showed up at school the other day, when we first started going, her teacher comes out and greets her and gets her out of the car. You know what her teacher said? I'd like to see your eyes, Ella Grace. I like to see your eyes when I greet you in the morning. Get your head up. Meet and greet people. Shake their hand. Let them know you're a person of influence. Does that make sense? Notice the energy that I'm trying to create. What I'm saying is I'm open. I'm inviting. I'm interested. You right? I'm thankful that you're here. Because I guarantee you, if it was a work day here, I could take you guys on a field trip out here on the elevator and you'd see 9 out of 10 adults do the exact opposite. Head down. Don't meet and greet. Don't say hi. How can I help you if that's your attitude? You follow me here? So these are all basic things that people have to get. So do you know that studies show that a person sizes another person up in their mind in less than 1/10 of a second? It's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but we make very quick assessments about people. You follow me? You're like, when you met me, you're probably like, who's this little bald-headed dude? What's he going to teach me? Former basketball coach. What's the greatness factory? Why is mama bringing me to this? Right? So here's my point. You're summing people up. And listen, the world's moving so fast. We only got a very short period of time to make an impression on another person. So if you make a bad first impression, how many of y'all have ever had a bad first impression with a person and you've never forgotten that bad first impression? And every time you see them, what happens? You go back to that first impression, don't you? Even if they change everything, you still remember how they treated you that one time. So we got to get better at that, okay? So these are what we're going to tackle tonight, okay? Now, for the parents and for the kids, here's what I want you to know. As a coach, what I do is create frameworks. I create structures. And what I'm looking for is a structure to diagnose where a person needs to get better at. Many years ago, I was a huge studier of a guy named Stephen Covey, Dr. Stephen Covey, and that's who influenced me the most. He wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he was kind of my mentor. You with me? And he taught what's called the whole person theory. And this is very critical because all of us need help typically in one of 4 areas. So if you're a parent, you can quickly say, my daughter needs help in this area. Now, you may not be able to give your daughter help in that area, but you need to give your daughter the tools and get her around people who can help her in that area. Everybody follow me? Like I can't cook at all, okay? I can't fix a car. I was raised by a single mom, and she did a wonderful job, but she didn't teach me geography or how to cook or how to fix a car, okay? So I couldn't help my daughter in how to fix a car. Like if we break down on the side of the road, we call them roadside assistants, okay? Because I don't know I can change a tire on it, okay? That's not my skill set, right? But there are certain things I can do. So when I'm looking at kids or children, I'm looking at these 4 parts of their nature. Their body, that's physical, what's called physical quotient. Now let me ask you this question. When you feel good about your body, how does that affect your confidence? Right? The better you feel about your body, the more confident you will become. Okay? And that's going to have to do with exercise and what you eat, how you treat your body, okay? How you sleep, how you exercise, how you rest. But that also is skill. That's skill. So when I'm looking at a person, I'm going, is their skill deficient? Do they need work in this area? And skill is like an action, okay? So I may say that person lacks in skill, okay? Then I look at their knowledge, which is their mind. Now, here's traditionally a challenge we have with the school system. The only intelligence our school system measures is this. Now, what could be the problem with that? Could I finish lower in my class and actually be more successful than the smartest person in my class? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Because I may have more emotional quotient. He or she may have more knowledge, but this is my ability to have passion, desire, get back up, bounce back. So someone can actually be smarter than you, but actually be less successful than you. Okay? And that was good news for me because I wasn't the smartest person in the class. I actually finished number 8 out of a class of 10. Just joking. There was 100 people in there. Okay? But there were 7 other people that had higher scores than me. Okay? But what if I told you, in some ways, I've gone on to produce a whole lot more in the world than the valedictorian in my class? He was smarter than me right here. Where I beat him was right here. Okay? So how do we give that to children? Because I have moms and dads say, I got a 25-year-old, and they got all kind of potential in the world, but they don't have any drive. And somebody asked me, could they bring their 25-year-old tonight? And I said, if they're still living at home, yes, you can. Right? How does that happen? How do I give my daughter passion? Desire for something. Energy, right? The only way I know how to do it is by letting her see it. Letting her see how I attack something. Letting her see me reach my own potential. So mind is knowledge, and you could be deficient in knowledge. Right? Like you need more knowledge to be good. You need to know. Heart is passion. Like you've got, what good is it to have knowledge with no desire? You know what we typically say about that? He's really sharp, but he's lazy. He's really sharp, but he doesn't work hard. He's really sharp, but he won't put the passion in. He won't put the time in. Okay? And then this one's spirit, confidence, belief in self, belief in something bigger. So when you're looking at your kids, you can quickly diagnose where are they deficient. Knowledge, skill, desire, confidence. Everybody follow me. This is a whole person. What good is it to have a lot of desire with no skill? Right? You need the whole package. And when you have the whole package, good things happen. You say, well, is that all, Coach, that I need? So this is the whole person theory. So when I'm coaching real estate agents today, financial advisors, mortgage bankers, you know what I'm looking at? I'm going, this person needs more knowledge. They need more skill. They need more desire, or they need more confidence. Just like I'm looking at children. Okay? And if you're not getting what you want in the world or advancing in the world like you think you should, it's because you're missing one of these ingredients. You say, is that all there is to it? No, there's 4 more. Here's the 4 more. Look at that one. Likability. How do I teach a person to be likable? And what is likability? Somebody give me a good definition for likability. Yes?
You're nice, or you're just, you will help people.
There you go. Yeah, you're likable. You got personality. You smile. You know what I associate this one with? Energy. It's like I'm open, I'm coachable, I'm hungry, I'm humble. Yes, ma'am. You tell me what you got.
Good posture.
Ooh, what does that mean?
You sit up straight.
There you go. Seem interested? Okay. You seem interested. How do I tell a person if they're not likable? I was coaching a person once in Memphis, Tennessee, and he was not producing at a level, and I was going through my framework. I was like, man, what is his problem? He's got knowledge, he's got skill, he's got desire, he's got confidence. Oh yeah, nobody likes him. And I told the CEO of the company, I know what his problem is. Nobody likes him. You know what the CEO said? You got to tell him. We're paying you to tell him. Here's what I noticed. Some people that are not likable don't know it. They don't know that their posture's bad. They don't know that how they walk in a room. They don't know that they're closed off or negative. Now, what if you tell me I'm a shy person? Because I want to dispel a myth here. What if I told you in certain scenarios I'm a shy person? Could I be both introverted and extroverted at the same time? You put me in some environments and I can go and I can talk to anybody. And I go to social events many times and I'm not a social butterfly. I don't want to talk to strangers by nature. I don't want to walk up and say, hi, I'm Coach Burt. I can change your whole life. Hello. Sometimes my wife is like, let's go do something social. And I'm like, no, I just want to stay home. I don't want to talk to people. I love people, but I don't want to talk, right? So in certain environments, I'm shy. So I want you to think of this. Introvert is an inversion of personality where you keep to yourself. Extrovert is where you push out. Well, what if I never push out my personality? Do you think that would hurt me with opportunity in the future? Yes or no?
Yes.
So what would make me be more extroverted is my confidence. See, a lot of people associate, well, I'm shy, which really means I'm not that confident. Because if I was confident, I would put myself out there. And if I'm not confident, I keep to myself. Because typically they're afraid of rejection. And I told you there's no such thing as rejection. Some will like it, some won't like it. Who cares, right? My confidence is not predicated by what you think about me. If it is, it's going to be up and down. So I can't give you my confidence. And a lot of times some moms and dads would come to me and say, well, that coach destroyed my daughter's confidence. And I would say, if that's true, then we have not done a very good job of teaching your daughter what confidence is, because I want to teach her that another person can't take away your confidence unless you give it to them. Everybody follow me here? And that's a hard thing to teach. Because a lot of confidence is what? We think our confidence is tied up in what somebody else thinks about us. Okay? When I travel around the world, and I was in New York City, this week I've been in Los Angeles and Phoenix, and I was in New York City last week, and a lot of people in New York City don't like my southern accent. And I once was up for a TV show. To be on a TV show, I was being in front of like 2 million people a episode, and the one reason I didn't get the show is because they did not like my southern accent. And I'm like, I don't know how to change that. And here's the other one. They didn't like how tall I was. They said, you're not tall enough and we don't like your accent. And that's why we're not giving you this show. Now, when I heard that, what am I thinking? I'm thinking, you're rejecting me. And here's what I walked away going. That just wasn't a show for me. Right? That just wasn't a show for me. They're not rejecting me. When you go somewhere for lunch and you don't pick one place over another, here's what you're saying. You're not rejecting one restaurant over another. You just don't want what they have. You see what I'm saying? So you got to start thinking of it like that. So likability is energy. How many people think they could do a much better job with their energy when they meet people? Okay, right? All right, what about this one? Connectivity. This is big. Connectivity is when you and I talk and meet, we have something to talk about. You're able to relate, right? And you're able to relate to all different types of people. Okay, remember I grew up in a real small town, so I was not exposed to a lot of different types. I was not exposed to any diversity. So I didn't know how to connect to people. I had to go out into the world, right, and learn how to be around all different types of people from all different backgrounds. And so connectivity is I can relate. Small towns, big cities. I can relate, okay? Networks, that's how many people you know. And you're going to hear your parents talk about building networks of people. This means you got a lot of friends. This means you're out there building a lot of friends in the world who can help you and open doors for you. And the last one is some special skill set. And we're going to get in that when we talk about talent, is that you have defined a very special skill. I want you to think of special skill set versus general practitioners, okay? So let's talk about that one. Then I'm going to let you work on it for just a second and talk amongst yourself. When I say, how do we help you find your talents? What do I mean by that? How do we help you find your talents? What does that mean? What does it mean to you? This is the audience participation part. What does that mean?
Natural abilities, your gifting.
There you go. Gifts, talents, natural abilities. If I find that, what happens to everything else in my life? What if I told you that I found my talents at 6 years old? See, when you study unique ability, it's typically detected very early in life by someone else. Right? Like for the parents in the room, you can probably see your kids' gifting. They can't see it many times. And why is that? Why can't they see their talents? That's right. You can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. It's natural to them. I say they were factory installed by the manufacturer with certain gifts. Well, at 6 years old, so I'm going to show you how to find this because this is critical. At 6 years old, I had a female baseball coach named Mickey Vinson that was my little elementary coach, or my little league coach. And she said to me one day, son, you're going to become an unbelievable coach in your lifetime. Now, how did she know that? So when I was backtracking my talents, like when did I find it? So I heard that at 6. Now, what do you think that did for me? At the local ball field, I heard it. What did it do for me?
It gave you a confidence.
There you go. I'm like, I do? I am? She said, oh, yeah. Now, why do you think she said that? How did she see that? So I asked her, now that I'm 40, I went back to her and asked her, how did you see that in me? And she said, you were so curious. You were always asking questions. You stayed at the ball field long after everybody else left. You were constantly, every time I asked a question, you were the first kid to raise it. You know what I'm saying? You were always right there beside me. She said, I knew you were going to be a coach at 6. Now, this is critical for the parents. There are theories out there that are very clear that a person typically has a huge breakthrough and becomes world-class at something when they practice it for 10,000 hours of practice or 10 years. Mozart was playing music at 2 years old. Bill Gates went to work with his dad at 11. Right? Tiger Woods was on a golf course at 7 months old. The theory is this: they are not more gifted than other kids. They just had more practice than other kids did. So if Kevin Long says, Coach, how many years have you been coaching? I could say, Kevin, I started at 6 years old, brother. And I'm 40. For the last 34 years of my life, all I've been doing is coaching people. You follow me here? Now, the reason that's important is if your children do not find their talents, let's say they don't find it till they're 50, and then they practice for 10 years, right? Which happens to a lot of people, right or wrong? What if they found it at 15 and honed it and refined it and nourished it and had coaching in it? How world-class would they be at it by the time they were 35 if they found it at 15? You see, at 15, I had other coaches say, you're going to be a great coach. So I actually started coaching people at 15, junior pro basketball. I was 15, they were 12. Right? Imagine me being 3 years older than you and being your coach. And I'm still just a little person like you are. Right? Well, you know what happens? So for the last 25 years, all I've been doing is coaching people. Because I found my talent so early in life. So if you were coaching me as a parent, what would you say about what I need to be doing for my daughter? She's 4. Helping her do what? Find it very early. I can already see things she's naturally good at and things she's not good at. So I would tell you put your kids in a strength area and get them the best coaching they can in that area. Right? Because who's coaching them is very important. So how do we find our talent? Number one, we ask this question: what do we naturally gravitate toward? Like, what do we love? I bet there's some right now you love, right? Could be fashion, and you cannot say playing video games, okay? Now, maybe one day you create the next video game company and become a bazillionaire, right? Maybe that's true, okay? But we need to start asking this question, like, what do you love doing? Well, I love fashion. Well, I love studying this. Well, I love, and here's how I notice what kids love doing. They spend their time there. They love reading about it. They love asking questions about it. They're interested. Here's another word. They're curious about it. Okay? I was always curious about coaching. So I wanted to read coaching books. I wanted to be interested. So if you were thinking about what you're curious about today, so a lot of people say, I want to grow up and be a professional NBA basketball player. You could be. You could be. But what if you can't do that? What if I wanted to be an NBA basketball player and I was only 5'6"? What if my skill wasn't enough? What could I do then, right? Because that could happen, couldn't it? So my first question to you is, what do you think you love? And I want the kids thinking about that because I'm going to have you write this down. What do you think you're interested in? Number 2, what are you good at? Why would I put that one?
It's your natural ability.
That's right. It's your unique ability. Could you love something and not be good at it? I've seen a lot of bad karaoke singers that thought they were good singers. And they thought they were going to make it big on American Idol, and they couldn't sing at all. They may love it all day long, but if you don't have talent in it, you're going down the wrong path. You follow me here? So what I'm looking for is, what do you love? And 2, what are you good at? Good is just talent. It's like it comes easy to you. See, the reason you can't see it is because it's natural. It's easy because it's natural. You follow me? It's easy. I don't have to work hard at this. People say, man, it seems so natural for you to speak and coach people. You know why? I've been doing it for so many years. It's easy. I don't have to work hard at it. I do work hard at it, but I don't have to. It's just natural, okay? What about this one? Who values it? The reason this one is because what if you want to make a living doing what you love and what you're good at? Now, this is how this typically works, and I do not want this to happen to you. So I go to college at Middle Tennessee State University. A couple years into my college journey, here's what happens. You need to go see your advisor. Your advisor many times is a person that does not know you, does not know what you love, does not know what you're talented at, but they're advising you on what you should do in your future. So you go see a complete stranger. Parents, make note of this. And that stranger says, hey, son, it's about time you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. We got a 15-minute meeting to figure this out. And I'm like, well, I like coaching. Well, you need to be a coach. End of meeting. Well, I like working with people. Oh, you need to be a social worker. Oh, I like this. You need to be a nurse. You know, we had a nurse in here not long ago who's one of the greatest nurses in this city who said, I said, why did she wanted to come work with me? And I said, why did you go into nurses? Why didn't you go into nursing? You know what she said? I didn't know what else to do. I said, you are a great nurse. She said, but that's not my calling. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing it and I'm good at it, right? But it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. You know how many people come to me and say that in a week? That I'm coaching? I'm doing this? But what am I doing? Why am I doing it? So what I don't want you to do is go to an advisor and say, hey, it's time for me to grow up, right? Let's have a 15-minute meeting and figure this out. And then they'll tell you something. You go down that path only 10 years down the road to go, why did I do this? I don't like doing this. Because now I've wasted 10 years of my life. So if we could figure this out early, what do I love? What am I good at? Who values it? You know, that means who would pay me to do this? Who would pay me to help them with my talent, okay? So I want to take a second and let you talk because I've been talking a lot. And I want you to tell the person beside you what you think it is you love and what do you think you're interested in. And you may say, I have no clue yet what I'm interested in, but that's not true. There is something you're interested in. You just hadn't figured it out yet. Now, moms and dads, when I was coaching, here's one thing I would do. I would partner my players up, 14 to 18 years old. Once they told me what they thought they wanted to do, I had a career night. Okay? So let's say, Keo, you tell me you want to be a coach. You said, man, I want to grow up and be a successful player, basketball coach. I would go find a successful coach in our community, and I would have a career night where Keo would get to ask that coach all kinds of questions. Right? What's it like on, and we help them prepare the questions. What's it like on your best day? What's it like on your worst day? Do you know that 7 out of 10 kids, after they had a conversation with that person, decided they did not want to do that? after one conversation. So some people say, I want to be a nurse. So I'd bring in a nurse as their little mentor, and I'd say, here's the 10 questions I want you to ask them. Right? What do you do? How much schooling do you have? How much money do you make? What's the worst day of your job? What's the best day of your job? And that nurse would sit there and talk to them. And that young lady would come to me and said, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but I don't want to be a nurse now. In one conversation. So we called it, life after basketball. Is when you leave me, what are you going to go do? And you need to have conversations with people before you decide to do it. You follow me here? Don't ask them what the best day look like. Ask them what the worst day's like. Okay? So parents, that's something you can do right now. Find somebody, because listen, they're not going to listen to you most of the time anyway. I mean, let's just be honest here, okay? They are sometimes, but then they're going to get too familiar with you and tune you out. They need a good mentor. So let's say a mom and dad brings a kid to me and says, I just can't connect to my kid. You know what my first question is? Do they have a great mentor outside of you? Do they have if it's a woman, do they have a strong woman in their life that's not their mother? And if they're a boy, do they have a strong man in their life that's not their father? Does that make sense? Because a lot of the coaching I got was from very strong mentors I had in my life that were not my biological parents. Everybody follow me here? And without that, some things I couldn't say to my mom that I could say to my mentor. So that's the first thing I tell a mom and dad is if they're not going where they need to be, do they have a strong mentor that they can go to and talk about things with other than you? I know that feels like you're giving up a little control, but it's necessary, okay? So take a minute right now and tell the person beside you, answer these questions. And you don't have to know everything today. Hey, some of you are only 12 years old. I expect you to figure this out today, all right? Let's just start the process, all right? All right, take off. That's okay. That can be a lot of things.
You like entrepreneurs?
You do like entrepreneurs?
Yeah, there's this like
I like it, brother.
camp and
Macaulay. The
Yeah,
school?
yeah.
they have an entrepreneur camp and I went
Love it. What'd you love about it?
I don't know, we got to meet like a lot of cool people and we got to meet like a vice president of Apple and stuff.
Nice.
And
Wasn't that interesting to you?
I just liked I guess the feeling of owning my own business.
Nice. See? There you go. Well, how old are you?
12.
Most kids 12 years old are not using the word entrepreneur. Hey, make sure you give that pen back too. It's one of my favorite pens. You see what I'm saying though? I mean, that's just something you don't talk about much. That's cool. What about you?
Well, I'm really into sports right now, so I really enjoy playing soccer. And besides sports, I'm really into I've always thought
Interesting. Yeah. Nice, nice. See, and now you can start that process now. You could be reading books about entrepreneurs. How did Steve Jobs start Apple in a garage? How did you do this? How did he do this? How did she do this? You see what I'm saying? You don't have to wait. You can start now. You may decide at 17, no, I thought I liked the entrepreneur thing, but I don't. I like this. But the earlier you start down the path, the more advanced you're going to be. Versus wake up one day at 30 and go, what do I want to be when I grow up? Which is what a lot of people do. Right? Okay. I'm glad you do, Keo. I wasn't good at math, man. I wasn't very good at math. I'm glad you. Okay, nice. Of course. All right, I got you. What you got, ladies? You guys seem artistic. Nice. Good for you. Okay, good. Nice. See, that's a skill, right? That's a skill. What about you? Nice, nice, nice. Good. Okay. Ooh, rugby. I wouldn't have thought that. That's good. Tough girl. I like it. That's good. So how do we take that? I want you to start thinking about how we take that to right? How do we take that to your future? Fast forward 10 years from today. Okay. Okay. See what I'm saying? And it may change. I may see you 10 years from now and I go, hey, you remember that talk? And you're like, no, I'm not interested in that. It all changes. Okay? But the earlier you start, the more, you see what I'm saying here? So good. Thank you. Okay. Now, see, everybody's interested in something, right or wrong. So these conversations are not taking place. You know, we taught the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People to every player that I coach, and I tried to implement that at the school I was teaching at. So I was going to go teach the teachers, and they were going to teach the kids. Okay? Now, who would not want their children to know 7 habits of the most successful people in the world? Right? Now just think about that. What would be the pushback to that? This was over 200 years of leadership, broken down, condensed into 7 habits. I taught 35 teachers these 7 habits, and out of those 35, only 6 were willing to teach the content to the children. The other 27 said, it's not my job to teach them how to be successful. And I said, well, what is our job? My job is to teach math or English or biology. What good is it to know those things if you can't communicate them? What good is it to know those things if you don't have any drive in it, right? Oh, so 27 of the 35 refused to teach it. That's part of the curriculum. I'm not diminishing any of those things. But those are things that need to be talked about. How do you meet and greet a person? How do you show up? How do you come with batteries included? How do you start getting interested in this? And if you're not going to have these conversations with who is going to have it? Who is going to? If you're banking on another person having these conversations, it ain't happening. You follow me here? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? And that could be public school or private school, right? So there's some things they're going to get, but there's a whole new world that they're not going to get that's going to really leave them in a diminished or a deficient place. Okay? Now, as I'm talking to everybody, when you're saying, he's saying I'm interested in entrepreneur. I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was until I was 30, man. That's cool. Okay? I want to study entrepreneurs. Here's what he could start doing right now. How did Steve Jobs start Apple computers in a garage? That became one of the biggest companies in the world. That's what an entrepreneur does, right? How do you take risk? What happens if you fail? All this stuff I'm talking about that's cool, because I didn't even know what entrepreneur was at 12, 13, 14 years old. So these are things that you can just be interested, if you're just interested. That's the first step, right? So you got to spend a lot of time with this. Now, let's say he comes to me and says, I think I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. I think I want to own my own business. What can I do for him? I could go ahead and start finding. Listen, one of the best things I went to in high school was the Broy Hill Leadership Camp. My mama shipped me off to North Carolina. I didn't know one person. I was scared to death. But you know what I had to do when I got shipped off for a week around other kids with leadership? I learned how to adapt, and it was one of the best experiences of my whole life. That was so good, because I studied leadership for a week at 16 years old. I had to learn how to speak, right? I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. Mom said, get on that bus. You're going. Because you got some talent, son, and you're going to be a leader one day. You need to do this, right? Thank goodness she put me on that bus, because I didn't want to go. So for you, he can already start reading books. He can already start listening to podcasts. He can and he may come back. I may see him 10 years from now. He go, entrepreneur thing? No, not for me. But he don't know that until he does what? Until he tries it. So I want you to expose people to a lot of things. So this is very important. Now, so once you I call it finding your special. And why is it special, by the way? Because it's unique to who? You. Your talents are unique to you. Okay? So you're uniquely you. You have special talents. Other people don't have them. But what if you never find the special? You can't share it with the world if you don't find it. Right? So I see adults today and I'm like, you hadn't found your special yet. You hadn't found what makes you unique in the world yet. Once you find it, you're going to take off. Because you know what's going to happen? Confidence is going to go up. Energy is going to go up. Passion is going to go up. Everything's going to go up in your life when you find this talent, okay? And so here's what I say. Number one, when you hear other people constantly tell you you're good at something, that's a good indicator. When another person constantly says, hey, you're good at this. Hey, you're good at this. And you're like, I am? Yes. When you hear it over and over and over, right? Like, son, you're going to be a great coach. Okay? Son, you're going to be this. Son, you're going to be that. One of these days, you're going to be this. It starts by being turned on to something by somebody, okay? You're curious and you're interested. One of the best things kids need today is they need curiosity. If you're curious, go learn it. If you're curious, study it. If you're curious, get involved with it. Who can help me with my talents? Who can help me find my talents here, okay? Now, how is your talents tied to your confidence? Average attention span of a high school student. Keo, stay with me here. You getting bored? You got to stay with me if you're going to be a great basketball player, man. Okay? Because I'm an old coach. And you know what I made my players do when I was coaching? Sit up in the front 1/3 of their seat. Make eye contact with me. Why did I teach them to do that? I had like little trained machines. I said, when I walk in that room, you better sit up in that front 1/3 of your seat. So I'd walk in, every player's like this. Take notes. Right? Show up early. Take notes. Front 1/3 of your seat. Make eye contact with me. Imagine having me as your coach. You'd be like, I don't want a part of that, right? Okay? I don't want no part of that. But you know what I did? I taught them how to be going, present, right? So how is your talents tied to your, look at the stats today. 67% of adults in the United States say they're disengaged with their work. How good can you be at your work if you hate it? How good can you be if you're not engaged with it? Yes or no? Now, here's a question. I don't want that for my daughter. I think work is the distribution channel for talent. You got talents, distribute it through work. World rewards you in the form of love and affirmation, appreciation. So the traditional pattern may not work. What I mean by that is I'm not telling you not to go to school or not to go to college, but what I am telling you is this is changing. I see the day where there's privatized education. What if Katina comes to me and says, Keel wants to be a great speaker, and all the money I was going to spend in college, I'm going to let him intern for you for 4 years? That's where I see it going. My daughter wants to be great at something. I go to a person that's already great at it, and I say, I'll spend the same money I was on college if my daughter can learn under you for 4 years. You see how that's happening? That's where I think education is going to get to at some point. Specialized. Right? Very specialized information, okay? Finding that passion, using that passion as your work, and monster ability. Now, let me finish you off with a few things on confidence. Because I want you to see confidence as a science. How many of y'all like science, by the way? Yeah. So I want you to start seeing confidence as a science. It is something you can build. So confidence is the memory of success. But what happens if you hadn't had any success? What does your confidence do? You have success through what? Ongoing repetition. Over and over and over again. What if you say, I don't feel like it today? I don't feel like practicing today. Here's what I want you to remember. Just because your feelings are real, sometimes that don't make them right. There's going to be a lot of days you don't feel like going to school. There's going to be a lot of days you don't feel like going to work. There's going to be a lot of days you don't feel like doing your chores, right? You have got to learn to fight through those feelings, even when you don't feel like it. Okay, yesterday we left. We had to get up at 3 o'clock and we left at 4 o'clock. I got in at 11 o'clock the night before. I got 2.5 hours sleep. Guess what I didn't feel like doing? Motivating anybody. Because I wasn't motivating myself. Did it matter? On Monday I was in LA, I had food poisoning. I called the company I was speaking for and I said, I got food poisoning, I can't even hold my head up. You know what they said? We don't care. We're paying you, show up and deliver. And I had to suck it up and show up and do it. You follow me here? My feelings told me lay in the bed and whine and pout and feel sorry for yourself. I got to get up and go. It don't matter how I feel. Everybody with me? Today I see people show up at work and they say, I don't feel like working today. I don't feel like prospecting today. I don't feel like doing what I need to do today to be successful. Don't matter if you feel like it or not, right? Big time people. Kevin, you play professional football. Do you feel like playing every day? Did your coaches care if you felt like it or not? No. Don't matter if you feel like it or not. I don't feel like listening to my coach today. I don't feel like doing what I need to do to win. You got to get away from this because your feelings will lead you wrong a lot of times, right? Everybody with me? If I don't, okay, so you got to get out of this mindset because you don't feel like doing something that it's okay not to do it. I don't feel like doing my homework. I don't feel like listening to the teacher. I don't feel like listening to the coach. It don't matter. Okay? To move to the next round, you got to do it. Okay? So you got to get this out of this because here's what the world rewards. Action. The world rewards action. Lots of action. You follow me here? So why wouldn't I take action? Because I don't have any?
Confidence.
Because I'm afraid of?
Rejection.
And there is no such thing as rejection. Remember that? If you don't take away anything else, take away that tonight. Okay? So here's how we build it. We build confidence through practice. We build confidence through failure. When my daughter gets old enough in the next couple of years, you know what the discussion is going to be at our kitchen table at night over dinner? We go through our day every night. And she's like, Daddy, tell me about your day. And I say, tell us about your day. My wife, tell me about your day. When she gets old enough, we're going to start having this conversation. Tell me one thing you failed at today. Do you think the most successful people fail the most? You know why? They keep trying. So I'm going to ask her, I want one thing that you failed at today. Not just success. I failed at some things today. I fail at some things every day. Right? But because of that bounce back, we get back up. So I'm going to ask her, give me one thing you failed at today. Because if you didn't fail at anything, what did you not do? You didn't try anything new. All you did was try things you were comfortable with. You try new things, you're going to fail. So give me something you failed at. Not just something you succeeded at, okay? You build confidence through preparation. You build confidence by what you listen to. Now, this is important. If you think your confidence is predicated by what other people think about you all the time. Now, this is different than wanting to impress people. I want to impress you tonight. I want you to have a good experience at the Greatness Factory, right? But let's say I give you everything I've got, and you are still not satisfied with a free event. Does that make sense? Let's say you come up to me and say, well, this wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, Coach Burt. You didn't have enough energy. You didn't talk enough. You talked too fast. Whatever. And I feel like I gave you everything I got tonight. What if my confidence is predicated on what you think about me? You see how that's a problem for me? What if these three ladies here, one walks up to me and says, I loved it. Thank you, Coach Burt, and thank you for taking the notes you're taking. What if you walked up to me and said, loved it? What if you walk up to me and said, hated it? What if you come and said, you know what, so what? Don't know if I like it or not. What if you told me you loved it, and because she said I loved it, my confidence is high? So I'm feeling good about myself because you said you liked it, and my confidence is predicated by what you think about me. But then I come to you and you said, what? Hated it. Now my confidence is where? Then you said you didn't care, and I'm like, so I walk out here tonight feeling rejected. Knees and elbows. And I go home and tell my wife, gosh, I got beat up tonight. These three girls on the front row hated me. Right? Go to my daughter, say, give me some love. My daughter's like, ain't got time, Daddy. Ain't got time for this. My daughter probably would say that. You see how that example is? I may see 1,000 people in a day. Literally. There may be 250 that love it, 250 that don't care, 250 that hated it. Still some left in there. Told you, Key, I wasn't very good at math. Here's my point. What if my confidence is predicated by what those people think about me? Does that make sense? You see how we got to get out of that business? What should my confidence be predicated on? Did I give you my best effort or not? And if I gave you my best effort and it still didn't work, what more can I give you? You with me here? Mm-hmm. So my confidence is mine. It's not yours. It's not anybody else's. It's not what other people think about me. It's mine. And if you don't get anything from tonight, get that. Okay? Get that. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you do something, play some sport, do something, and there's an authority figure that's your leader, coach, whatever, and you're trying to please that person because they're in control of your future. And this happened a lot as a coach. I had it the other day with the woman across the thing. She said, I don't really like it. The coach is not really playing my daughter, and I'm very frustrated. You know the first thing I said? Have you taught your daughter to walk in there and have a conversation with the coach? What can I do better? No. You know what I said? Your daughter needs to walk in there, schedule a meeting with that coach, and walk in there and say, what can I do better? Because it's something I'm doing is not working. And that coach will say, you need to do this, this, and this. And if you follow me? But if you hadn't had that conversation, you're just getting mad at somebody and you don't even know why you're mad at them. And it's never going to work with that, right? Just walk in there and say, what can I do better? And do it, right? If they say you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, that's what you got to do. It don't matter if you like it or not, right? Okay? And that's going to serve you well in the world. If my employees are not doing what they should do, and I say, look, here's 3 things you got to do. right? Or if they're not getting something that they like, they need to walk in and have a meeting with me and say, what can I do? What can I do to get this worked out? Well, there's 3 things you got to do, in my opinion, right? But don't keep this friction between you and them. Just go right to it and try to solve it. Attack it, okay? And then try to do it. But don't get mad about it, okay? All right, let's finish on this. Okay, let's finish on this. We already decided that like gravitates toward like. How many of you think you need some new friends already? How many mamas and daddies in the room like, hey, you need some new friends? I've noticed a couple things in my life. Anytime I was struggling and operating at low frequency, guess who I reached out to? Other low frequency people. When I was thinking very low level thoughts, I sought out other people that thought very low level thoughts. When I'm thinking progressive thoughts, I want to hang around progressive people. So I have a theory in my life. I need to always be spending time with people who are operating at a higher level than me. Even today, I seek out people who operate at a much higher level than I do. And you know why? Every time I'm around them, what do I think? I need to be thinking so much bigger. I need to be playing at such a higher level. They inspire me. When I hang around people that are not thinking high thoughts, I go low. Because we become the sum average of the 5 people. So here's a question you got to ask. The people you're hanging around right now, do they raise your standards or lower your standards? Do they care about you? Do they really care about you as a person? Do they make you better when you're around them, or do they make you worse? That's what you got to be asking yourself, right? And maybe it's time to reorient your friendships. Do you know some of my best friends from high school we're not friends today? I thought would be there my whole life. And in some ways, we've just grown apart. We're so different today. Maybe some of them, I wanted to grow and they didn't. They wanted to stay and I wanted to grow. And I had to say, man, this is not going to be good friendship for us. It was good for a season. We were good for each other for a time, but not for now. And that's going to happen to you in life, okay? So what can you do from tonight? Here's some action items I want you to take. And this needs to be reinforced by the parents. And we got people watching online. It needs to be reinforced. First thing I need you to do is I need you to quit worrying about what everybody else is doing, and I need you to go to work on you. Go to work on your knowledge, your skill, your desire, your confidence. Quit using conversation language like, well, if they just did this, or if they do this, or it's their fault, or their fault. I need you to focus on you becoming a better version of you. Okay? And parents, if you catch your children constantly complaining about other people, stop it. Just say, no, this is not about them. We need to talk about you. Okay? Number 2, I think you need to do the work, the heavy work to start finding your talents. Right? You need to do the heavy work to start finding your talents. You need to start having conversation about this. You need to be in discovery. Number 3, protect your confidence. Quit giving your confidence up to other people, because there's no such thing as rejection. It's gone. We erased it. Some will, some won't. So what? Some likes it, some don't. Who cares? Maybe time to reorient your friendships. Right? Maybe time to reorient your friendships. And then the last thing, you got to show up, you got to grow up, and you got to come with batteries included. You got to show up, you got to grow up, and you come with batteries included. You know what this means? We don't have time to whine, pout, feel sorry for ourselves. Somebody asked me what I talk about entitlement. Here's what I would tell you. The world owes you nothing. The world owes you nothing. Right? I'm going to write a book at some point. You know what it's called? Go get it. Go get it. We live in the greatest place in the world with the most opportunity that there will ever be. There is nothing prohibiting any person from going and getting what they think they can go get. It is unlimited. It's like the air that we breathe. Where does it start and stop? The ocean. You know what the ocean says? You can get a teaspoon, or you can get a 20-gallon bucket, and the ocean don't care. You can have as much of whatever it is you want as you want if you'll just do what? Go get it. My granddad, before he passed away, used to say, It's out there. You just got to reach for it. It's out there. You just got to reach for it. You follow me? I want to thank you guys for coming tonight. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any of the young folk have any questions? No questions off the table. How many young people in here think they want to write their own book at some point? Raise your hand. Everybody does, right? Sure. We're going to write an entrepreneur book. Me and you, big guy. Can we sell it to the 12-year-olds? Hey, we'll try. All right? Anybody? Any other questions? Okay, I know these things are hard to talk about sometimes, but if we don't start now, let's fast forward. I used to ask this question when I was in a big meeting with a person. Let's go to a place in the future and let's come back to right now. If you and I were sitting here 10 years from now, looking back over those 10 years, what has to happen for you to feel good about what we're doing? And they'd say this, 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 and this. And if we accomplish those things, would you feel good about it? And they go, absolutely. And I say, well, it ain't going to happen unless we start right now. Everybody follow me? I believe greatness is inside every person. Sometimes we just got to find it and nourish it. And then we got to package it, and take it to the world. You with me? So thank you for coming to the Greatness Factory tonight. I hope this was valuable to you. And we want to make sure we've got everybody's information. So if you got a business card or if we don't have your email, we'd like to get you on an email list. And anytime you want to come back to the Greatness Factory, okay? One day, I own the rights to the Greatness Factory for Kids, which means one day, you know what I'm going to be building? A Greatness Factory for Kids. That means just like a school, you can go there and we will work on all these things on a consistent basis. Okay? And we will work on nourishing greatness inside of young people, because I think it's one of the biggest deficiencies in the world today. And if somebody, and I'm not going to sit around and complain about why people ain't doing it, I'm just going to do something about it. I'm going to work on my little circle of influence. You with me? So, Takesha, make sure you got everybody's information if you don't mind before they leave. I'd like all the business cards of all the young people too. Okay, if you don't have a business card, why not? Keo, you got a business card on you? There you go. At least we're talking, all right? All right, God bless you guys. Thanks for coming tonight. Thank you, man.